Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel Lifestyle Critic. I hope you're having a brilliant day. So in this video we are going to be reviewing the 5th episode of the Gossip Girl Reboot, and I have to say, along with the previous episode, this show really is getting its spark back, and I finally feel like it's a true modernized version of the original, worthy of being a diverse and inclusive continuation. I loved all of the throwbacks, the cameos, the deeper storytelling, along with the delicious twists and the unexpected turns that I had with the different characters as well. And there were just so many characters who literally embodied wolves in sheep's clothing in this episode, so this show is now getting really great and it's really promising as well. So the first storyline that we have to talk about is how Zoya and Julian now have a really great alliance, very much Blair and Serena when they were best friends. And speaking of Serena and Blair, I love the fact that they had a rival school in this episode with two wannabe characters who dressed up as them, while Julian and Zoya tried to make a statement as Beyonce and Solange, but when they saw that everyone was dressing up as them as well and they were somewhat being sabotaged and that everyone at their party would somewhat know their secret, I love how they totally turned this around and then entered the party dressed as Dan and Chuck. And I just thought, wow, this is such a great touch in terms of reminiscing back to the original series, but doing it in their own special way, which I thought was absolutely brilliant. Next up we have Zoya having somewhat of a new love interest with the Simon character that she felt more connected with than Obi, which I thought was really great, as it really brought out the we're from different worlds narrative that they would use all the time with the Dan and Jenny character. So it was really nice to kind of see this happening again in this reboot. And as expected with guest roles, there's always something dark and sinister going on with them, right? Which I think they did again here with the Simon character, and I thought was a really excellent twist, and it actually also gave the Obi character something a little bit more interesting to do rather than being the somewhat vanilla nice guy that he has been all season long. Next up we have to talk about Audrey and how she finally has a real storyline that she can be the full lead character on and that she can really sink her teeth into, and it really did pay homage to the bigger storyline moments of the original series. I also loved how she was being a little bit rebellious with her mother, yet you could see where she was coming from at the same time, so she wasn't just being a brat for the sake of being a brat. So it really was something that was really well written in this episode for this character. She then thought that she was being really clever, bringing in her mother's friends to convince her to stay, which totally backfired on her. And then we really got to see a really shocking and emotional ending for this character, so her narrative arc across this episode was actually really well done. Aki trying to help Max, who just didn't want to hear any of it as he was just so infatuated with the Rafa character and kind of looks at Rafa with true rose-tinted glasses on, was really fascinating too, and how you could see a somewhat sinister side of the Rafa character with Aki when he was trying to avoid anyone getting into any trouble was really shocking. And then you actually find out that this character gets off on targeting his students, so it really did show a dangerous side to this character. And then Max facing him at the end of this episode was really great too. So from a storyline point of view, I'm actually really impressed with the 5th episode of the Gossip Girl Reboot. I actually really liked the character portrayals in this episode, as it felt like a true modernized continuation of the beloved classic series, which was really great. And the fact that they had a cameo appearance from Nelly Yuki was absolutely awesome. It felt really natural as well, as she was coming in as a business professional who instantly recognized that Zoya was dressed up as Chuck. So it was just such a brilliant reference and an awesome throwback with this character, which was really great. I'm also really glad that they showed the investigation angles with Obi in this episode, as it really reminded me of all the epic research and revelations that Blair Waldorf used to do, and it was also really a lot more satisfying for the Obi character to do this time round, as Simon was someone that Zoya was potentially interested in instead of him. I'm also really glad that we're able to see Julian and Zoya somewhat burying the hatchet, well, for a while at least, and we're able to really see them growing their sibling relationship, as they're really great as a duo. Now, the fact that Monet turned on Julian and Luna was just so shocking and really did channel the original series again in terms of scheming and betraying one another all the time, you could also really understand her reasoning as well, as she was just so sick of the fact that Julian was just not listening to her anymore and wanted to go to someone that would really value her worth and her expertise. But the fact that this character really did stab all of her best friends in the back really does show how ruthless she is, and sets up the future of this series with this character in particular so well, as she truly is the most evil of them of all. I also cannot wait to see what effect this is going to have on the Luna character, as her and Monet literally were inseparable over the past 5 episodes, so it'd be really interesting to see what they're like individually, and also whether or not eventually Luna will join Monet in the future. So I think this little trio is going to be really interesting. Also, Aki is clearly still obsessed with the Max character, both as a friend and as a potential romantic partner, despite the fact that he is trying to make things work with the Audrey character. I did think he had his best friends back though, and I did think that Max was excellent as always in this episode. He has actually been pretty consistent across this entire show so far, and they really were building up how much he is lusting after Rafa all season long. You could also see how besotted he was with him when he finally did get him, so the fact that he was able to pull himself away from him by the end of this episode really does show the character growth and maturity with Max in particular. Audrey, like I mentioned before, was absolutely fantastic in this episode. I wanted to see Emily Alyn Lind really show and have her own space and really demonstrate what a phenomenal actress she is, and she was totally able to do that in this episode. And even though the majority of her scenes were just her and her mother, you could really see the raw emotion, the child needing their parent, the rebellion, the need for support, all coming across so well in this story. So all in all, it was a real triumph from a character's point of view in this episode. Seeing the Kate character having a bit of a change of heart over Gossip Girl after seeing a shooting attempt happening at another school due to Gossip Girl, I thought was really great, as it really did show that the Kate character has a real heart, as she was really questioning the whole Gossip Girl project as a whole. But then by the end of this episode, she really saw the power, purpose, value and validation that Gossip Girl gives to her. And so I love how this time she even wove social media into her decision making process, as this time she's coming back without comments switched on, so it literally is just the Gossip Girl voice. I also loved how they were showing the teachers having a potential romantic storyline, which was really great, as it really did show that they are a lot more rounded as characters. So I'm really looking forward to seeing how this progresses, and I think it's really great how they've humanized Gossip Girl from the beginning this time around. Also, I find it really realistic and really creepy that they have people taking pictures of these popular kids to send into Gossip Girl. I know that this happens in real life, of course, with the paparazzi, and I know that this also happened in the original series, and it's kind of the point of the show, but it really does show the uncomfortable stalker side of it all, and it really did give a good argument to why Kate wanted to shut down Gossip Girl altogether. So I really enjoyed the 5th episode of the Gossip Girl reboot. I mean, the Nelly Yuki appearance and the Blair, Serena, Dan and Chuck references were all so fantastic, but also on top of all of that, they also progressed the narrative with all of the different characters really well, and have now somewhat found their rhythm with the show. So I'm really excited to see how it's going to progress from here on out. So those are my thoughts on the 5th episode of the Gossip Girl reboot. I'd love to hear from you. So what did you think of this episode? Please let me know in the comment section below, and I look forward to seeing you in my next video. Bye everyone, XOXO.